Okay, so now I think we can start. I hope I'm audible to you. And I also shared my screen. So I hope this is also visible to you. So first, we'll do the revision of what we did previously. Here, we are in the last module, that is module 7, where we are discussing on global aspect, global issue. That's the name of our topic. So as a part of that, we had a one session. Previously, we started with global issue, where you guys, if you remember, we did one activity. In that activity, I gave you some pictures of some brands, some company, some service company, and you need to choose between them. If you remember, I gave you the option like SBI or Paytm Payment Bank, then Flipkart or Home Shop 80, then Desi Hakka Noodles or Ching's Chinese. So this we previously seen, and the basic motive of doing that activity was to get the idea from you that what made you to choose that particular brand. Then we also got different reply that some of the people were considering that quality is big aspect. Many of the people were pointing out that the service is good of this company, products are also good. The great customer care support is also there. So many of the different points were coming out from that activity. And then we got to know that it is very important for a brand or company to go for ethical way. If they are not following the ethical way, then it can create a big trouble for whole company. After that, we have seen the incident, the case study of this Sun Pharma company, where we got to know that Sun Pharma, which started with just 2 employees by Philip Sankey, he also took a loan from his father. He was a commerce graduate, not having a formal training regarding pharmaceutical products or having any knowledge regarding that. But he started a company. Then we got to know that currently Sun Pharma is one of the largest pharmaceutical company in India. And if we check the global rank in generic, they stands for the 5th position. So it is big achievement. How they achieved, we also discussed that there are few ethical practices that Sun Pharma is focusing. They are providing so much benefit to their employee. They are employee empowerment centric company. They also found the need for developing or empowering their women employee. So they even started so many great facility for women employee. Like they were even organizing seminar. They were having some of the facility for their women employees so that they can work in a comfortable and friendly manner. So this approach, this practice of their ethical way made them this much successful. After that, we even discussed so many different points of some kind of point of view that many of the companies are giving as excuses. They are considering that we should not have to follow ethics because they are considering that ethical way, ethics and business don't go hand in hand. Then if we consider the ethical part, then it is very time consuming. On the other hand, it will give the benefit in the longer run, not in a shorter period of time. Then there are yardstick to judge a business very successful, and that yardstick are profit making and market share. So if a company is making a great amount of profit, that company is considered as successful. On the basis of other aspect, that is market share, we are aware that when company is growing, they are having a great market share. So that is also one of the indication that company is very successful. So their ethics is not considered on the priority. So that's why many of the firms are not following it. On the other hand, we also learned that following ethics will create a great impact, not in a shorter period of time, but in longer period of time, it will definitely give the benefit to the company. Secondly, in a time of crisis, in the negative situation, many of the investors will definitely be there with the company. They will remain with the company, so that company will sustain for a longer period of time. Then though those employees who are very happy with the ethical behavior, ethical policies of the company, so they will have a feeling of oneness, where they will also think that I am also part of the company, this is my company, and they will work in effective manner. Then another benefit of having ethical choice is there could be a loyalty from the side of supplier, loyalty of their customers, loyalty of investors. So this can also be achieved if company is focusing on the ethical part. Then we also discussed regarding one of the great case study. I hope you still remember that, the case study of Enron company. So Enron scandal was discussed, that when Enron started with a very positive note, they even got the title of America's most innovative company. Afterwards, they secured this title for 6 consecutive years. They were even making a profit, but because the wrong intention of two guys, the CFO and CEO, the whole company suffered a lot. They even delisted from the New York Stock Exchange, and from $90 to just $0 share price, they have seen. So we have seen a positive side and negative side in a previous session. So it was a great learning there. Now let me take you to our today's topic discussion. So just a minute. Yeah, so my screen is about to get visible to you. Okay, so this is the second session, part 2 of global issue. This is our last module, 7th module. As a part of today's discussion, we'll focus on many of the aspects. We'll focus on the sources of this ethical issue, ethical problem. And there are actually 5 different sources. We'll discuss in detail about each source. After that, in between, we'll also take some of the examples so that you can relate some of the real example. And this is a great learning that we are going to see with the help of those example as well. So let's see one by one all the example as well as the sources. So first we'll check the list, the complete list. So this sources of ethical problem provided by Kenneth Davis and William Frederick. He provided this sources by doing a research on so many other business aspects as well. So let's see the complete list. First source is failure of personal character. Second is conflict of personal values and organizational goals. Third is personal beliefs and the organizational practices. Then organizational goals versus social values. And last one is hazardous but popular proof. So these are the different sources of ethical problem for the business, and we'll discuss in detail about all of them. So let's start with the first. Okay, so let's start with the first sources of ethical problem, that is failure of personal character. All of us are aware that when there is a bad intention of some person, then it can create a very ethical problem for whole business firm. People who are working there as a part of that business group will definitely suffer. But on the other hand, the whole company, many of the investors many of the suppliers, many of the other people who are all considered as the stakeholder of the company will suffer along with them. So this is happening because of the major source, that is failure of personal character. When people are not following the ethical part, they are not having good characteristic. So it can lead to ethical problem. They will even create a big problem for the whole company. So if we discuss about them in detail, so the major source of ethical problem is definitely this failure of personal character. When a company hires, we are aware that they are hiring the people on the basis of qualification, education qualification, their experience, so that they can match their profile with the company's job opportunity. And on the basis of that, they are hiring. Let's say that when the people are facing this selection process, so if the HR department is going to get aware some of the information regarding the person, that what is happening in his mind, his or her mind. So they will definitely get to know that this person will create future trouble for the whole company, and then they will directly say no to them and they will not hire them. But it is actually not happening. So if the recruiters know that among qualified person, some are undesirable, they will weed them out. But it is very difficult to spot a person with unethical qualities or to anticipate them to be so in the future or to measure their ethical nature. So like I said, that if they are already aware that these are the people who are going to be a problem creator for the whole company, then they will definitely not hire them. But it is actually not available. If we talk about the personality test, then we are aware that personality test is very helpful in identifying a particular person's personality. But you are also at the same time aware that in personality test, generally few questions will be asked to the candidate, and how the candidate is responding on the basis of his answer, the final personality of that person can be uh, identified. But if the person is giving a fake answer or manipulating with the answer choices, then we cannot get the true personality of that particular person. On the other side, personality test also assume that whatever personality uh, you derive from the question answer, then it will remain constant. But this is also one of the mistakes, because we never know that when person is going to change. When people is going to change, then it can create a whole trouble for the company. So it do happen as well. So without such knowledge, if recruiters take them in, those employees may create so much trouble. Let's see the list. They may steal funds. They may steal supplies from the company. Paid expenses accounts, that means they are going to play with the numbers. They will showcase of fake figures, take unjustified leaves, pass obligation to fellow workers, take bribes for favoring suppliers, use inside information for their personal benefit as well. So even the list is very big, but these are some of the example. Just a minute, guys. Yeah, so we are back. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so we were discussing on many of the aspects. So the people who failed in their personal character can create a big trouble for the whole nation and hold the company. Sorry. And let's take one example. That example is of India. In India, this Satyam scam, a big famous scam happened. Uh, Satyam Computer were there in the IT field. Many of you may not have a knowledge regarding that. So let me show you one video so that you can get the idea regarding Satyam Computer. So let me take you to the video part. Okay, so I hope the screen is about to get visible. Yeah, it is visible now. So let's go back to this video. Let's see. Yeah. So I hope now you are having idea regarding Satyam scam. The main culprit was the founder and the chairman, uh, Ramalingan Raju. He played so much with the financial account. He was even using a fake receipt, and based on that, he was showcasing a good picture of company, even though company was making so much big amount of loss. Like we have seen in the video, uh, there was 7,123 crore, which was kind of fraud, which they were making. But on the other hand, many of the investors, they were having a great trust on the company. So they were investing on a huge amount of share. So the company's share price was also increasing, and many of the investors were investing in Satyam Computer. After that, when the whole case came out and Ramalingan Raju found guilty, so people, though those shareholders, they lost their money of 14,000 crore. So this was a big amount, which is quite example here regarding failure of personal character. if there is a failure of personal character in somebody's mind, somebody's personality, so it can create a whole trouble for the company as well as so many other people as well. Now let's go for the next source of ethical problem. The next is conflict of personal values and organizational goals. We are aware that many times our ideology is not matching with our family member, our friends, because all of us are having a different idea of what is morally right, what is morally wrong. And sometimes, if you are part of some of the company, let's say that you are having great uh, respect for the morally right way, but your company is not paying attention to that. The company is actually focusing more on profit and not on the ethical part. So this can lead to a great trouble because you will constantly get the idea that here am my I am actually not suitable for this company. This is not the correct way for doing the business. So constantly this can create a trouble. We'll also see one of the case where this person was facing the same dilemma. Then he also found the solution for that. So we'll discuss about that as well. So another source of conflict that gives rise to an ethical dilemma is when the company uses method or pursues goal unacceptable to the manager or an executive. So a typical example was that of George Cuto, a marketing executive of pharmaceutical giant Bayer AG. So we'll discuss about what happened with the Bayer AG. Bayer AG was one of the companies. It is still running there. And George Cuto at that time was handling marketing department. So there was some difference in the ideology and what step George Cuto took, we'll discuss in detail in the next slide. So if we discuss that in most of the cases, companies resort to this kind of unethical practices due to the following two reasons. The reason number one is intensive competitive pressure. So that's the one. On the other side, exclusive focus on the economic goal of making profit. That is also other. We are aware that competition is creating a big trouble for lots of companies as well. Many times the big players are coming in the market, and that's why the old players are losing their customers too. So to survive there in the market, they are choosing many of the shortcuts as well, and that shortcuts can sometimes uh, considered as unethical as well. So that's the one. On the other side, if the company's focus is just on making a profit, so they will achieve that anyhow. Even though if they want to go for the unethical choice, they will do it. Many times it is observed that if they are focusing more on the profit side, so they are going to achieve that profit anyhow. So these are the two reasons which can lead to company or choosing unethical practice. So now let's discuss about George Cuto and Bayer AG in detail. So if we talk about Bayer AG, Bayer was there in the pharmaceutical business. They were providing so many drugs, especially antibiotics. And George Cuto at that time was handling marketing department. He was marketing one of the marketing executive there in the company. So the company actually had a conspiracy to overcharge American Medicaid program for antibiotic Kipro. So they were manufacturing this antibiotic drug Kipro. This is their very famous drug, but they actually they used unethical way in a through Medicaid program. Let me give you idea regarding Medicaid program so that you can definitely relate. Uh, you are very much aware that in India there are few programs which are available, few schemes are available for the people who are in a lower income group. These are the scheme, these are the programs provided by Government of India. Like if we take the example of Ayushman Bharat or Ma Yojana or so many other as well. So if the person is from lower income group and was unable to uh, do the medical expense, then he or she can take the help of this government program. So similarly, it is this was very popular in America as well, Medicaid program. So George Cuto, he actually found the whole evidence regarding the wrong practices that Bayer AG was doing, and then when he made all the document available for the public, and he actually made this Bayer AG, they found guilty, and they were charged for a fine of $257 million. So it was a big amount that Bayer AG was paying at that time. Now let me tell you what was the conspiracy at that time. So still it is not discussed. So basically, what wrong practices this Bayer AG was doing is their famous drug, Kipro. It was antibiotic. It was widely available in the market. But under this Medicaid program, they relabeled Kipro, and they were selling that to other pharmaceutical company. And that other pharmaceutical company was charging on very high price. And they were even having this Kipro's different identification number so that nobody can track that. So it was running very smoothly because company wanted to earn a huge amount of profit, which they were earning as well. But George Cuto's philosophy was not matching with this company's practices, and he raised a voice. And then the whole case came out, and Bayer AG found guilty. So they had to pay a fine of $257 million. So this was the whole case. Now we'll go for the third sources of ethical problem, that is personal belief versus organizational practices. So in a recent time, ethical dilemma in organizations arise when they employ multiracial and multi-religious employees. Nowadays, we are aware that when companies are growing, they are even opening their branches in different states, then different countries as well. So they also need to deal with their different culture and social practices as well. So let's say in one company, there are people from different states. We are just taking an example of India. So all the different people can have their different religious belief, their own cultural belief as well. So it can, if the company is not valuing them, then it can create a big trouble as well. On the other side, several organizations are accused of racial discrimination and gender bias in the workplace and have been paying fines of billions of dollars or as out-of-court settlement as well. So many times it is observed that when there is discrimination which is happening in one company on the basis of its gender, on the basis of racial, on the basis of religion, then some law system is playing its role, its law. And then out of court settlement do happen. Like let's take one example of Infosys. You are aware that Infosys is one of the reputed companies, but they also face this problem. So let's discuss about one of the case which was happened with Infosys. So Infosys actually paid $3 million to one of its employee, one of its ex-employee, Reka Maximovich. She was facing so many sexual harassment, unwanted sexual advancement, and unlawful termination of the employment. And that's why she filed a case against Infosys. And then out of court settlement happened in this way, where Infosys paid $3 million. At the same time, another case which happened with the same company, Infosys, was of Panish Murthy. This also happened with him, and Infosys need to pay some amount for the settlement as well. Now, let me take you to one of the video which is very much interesting. This will give you idea regarding your favorite brand, that is Microsoft. Just a minute. Yeah. So every year, Microsoft is receiving so many complaints from their female employees regarding sexual harassment. So this is just an example of Microsoft. Many of the companies are even not revealing the actual data because they wanted to settle that case within the organization so that it won't create a trouble for their reputation. So this too happen when personal belief is contradicting with the organizational practices. Now let's discuss about the fourth source of ethical problem, that is organizational goals versus social values. So activities of a company may be considered unethical by the stakeholders due to changing social scenario. The social and the cultural uh, moves are prevailed in the India before 1981 when the economy was shaped by the controls and the licenses where uh, were very orthodox and conservative. Let me give you an idea. Before 1991, our Indian economy was considered as one of the conservative. Why? Because we were not welcoming the outside companies, multinational companies, to do business here in India, and because of that, uh, we were even not getting a good amount of inflow. So at that time, India was taking a loan from World Bank. While we took the loan from World Bank even gave the suggestion that in order to survive in the future, we need to open our economy. So then liberalization happened, and many of the companies were getting an easy process for their business. Even a very easy way was given to them to get the license to do a business. Many times we have seen that there is a great difference between how the corporate culture which is prevailing here in India, and if we compare that culture with the culture which is there in the Western world, so you will definitely see a very great contradiction. Because we are aware that in India, you need to salute the reporting authority by sir or ma'am. You cannot speak a name of that guy or girl, so this is very restrictive. But on the other hand, if you notice the other culture or the Western world, then it is very normal for the employee to speak a name of their boss and to address them by their name. On the other side, if we talk about the working style here in India, we are aware that there is a fixed time duration of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But on the other hand, in Western culture, they are having flexible working schedule as well. Here, employees were expected to come to office well dressed as well. Men and women employees rarely mixed, kept respectable distance from one another because of our culture value. So sometimes culture is also playing a big role. Now we'll discuss about social value. If a company is focusing on the social value, if they want to give a benefit to the society, then what kind of step they can take. We are going to discuss about some of the case study. Like this case studies were already discussed, but just to give you idea, just to relate both of the case study here, once again I will give some glimpse regarding those case study. Like we discussed regarding Johnson and Johnson and Tylenol drug, that crisis, and Merck Pharmaceutical Company and river blindness. So let me again do the revision for you so that you can recall. In Johnson & Johnson case, they were producing this Tylenol drug, which was widely popular in that Western market. It was available for child as well as the adult. So this drug was actually uh, considered as one of the painkiller. So people were having trust on Johnson & Johnson, and because of that, they were consuming it without any fear. But there was one incident which happened with Tylenol drug, where a few people changed the Tylenol drug's ingredients, and it was replaced with cyanide. And after that, after consuming that, many of the people even died. So that news created a big trouble for Johnson and Johnson. But at that time, CEO took so many bold steps. He immediately called back all the Tylenol drugs which was available there in the market, or it was sold to some of the customers. Though it was creating a big trouble for the company because CEO was aware that it will create a trouble for company's financial position. They will lose so much of money as well. But it was very necessary at that time. Then they also introduced Tylenol drug with a different tamper-proof packaging. So then they again got back the trust of the people, because when they took the bold step of telling the people that don't buy our drug, if you already bought, then you can give that drug back to us. So that made a good impression on the customer. Customer were thinking that company here is customer centric, and they are taking care of customers' health more. So that's why they, when they reintroduced Tylenol drug, people were readily consuming it, and they again got the market share back. So this is the discussion which we already did, but this is just to recall. Okay, if we discuss about Merck Pharmaceutical Company and river blindness, then you are aware that when this deadly disease, which was prevailing in South Africa, where the fly from river were biting the human being, and humans, after getting infected from those fly, they were having a problem of itching in the initial stage, and then it was leading to blindness as well. So at that time, no company was making any drug or any kind of cure for this people. But Merck Pharmaceutical Company assumed that as their social responsibility, and they manufactured the drug. Even though at that time they were facing so many ethical dilemma, because they were not having enough fund, and finding out solution, finding out the correct cure for any of the disease will lead to lots of research as well as utilization of great fund. But they were ready for that, because they thought that this is our responsibility for the betterment of our society. So they did this. So it was a very great example. Now let's go further. Okay. If we discuss about the last one, in last sources of ethical problem, we will focus on the hazardous but popular product. We are aware that many of the products are very harmful for the human health, and people are also aware about that, but still people are consuming it. So we'll discuss about all those in detail now. So in our society, there are a number of harmful products that are produced and sold to their users, notwithstanding the fact that a vast majority of the people are aware of their harmful effect. People are aware that this is very harmful effect, creating very harmful effect, but still they are consuming it. So people know that smoking cigarette causes cancer. Even whenever we are starting our movie, then this kind of statutory warning will be there in the first ad, that smoking is creating a cancer. It is going to lead to cancer. It do kill the people as well, but still people, even we are aware that this kind of statutory warnings are there on the cigarette package when government mandated this for the all cigarette making company to have a warning sign, and then the packaging is also having that warning sign, but still people are consuming it. Further, people are also aware that excessive drinking causes accidents and liver problems. People are also aware that use of drugs cause both psychological and mental problems. Still, they are consuming it. So, and yet these products are being produced and consumed. Is this practice ethical? So definitely, this is very unethical practice. The products are also manufactured and people are already aware that they are harmful, but still they are consuming it. So let's see both the side. So those who defend the sale of many harmful and obnoxious products argue that in a free society, consumers use this product on their own violation, on their own wish, and without any outside compulsion. So people are aware, this company are having this argument that we are not forcing anyone to buy our product. They are buying it. And the other argument which these companies are making is the producers only cater to the customers, the consumers' demand. So there is a demand. People are ready to buy that product, and that's why we are making it for the benefit of the customer. So that's their argument. So if, let's say that due to ethical consideration, these products are banned, just imagine that many of the people were raising protest, and then this ban happened. Our government banned all this harmful product, their production. So it will create a very problematic situation in the nation. Like it can create a black marketing. Like you are aware that when the first lockdown was introduced, at that time only essential things were available. In that essential, this cigarette, pan masala, this liquor was not given priority. And in that first lockdown, those who were alcoholic, those who were having addiction towards this harmful product, they were having so much problem. And at that time, this products, harmful products were available, but on a very high price. So it can lead to a black market, adulteration, profiteering, and several undesirable consequences as well. Like we are aware about those two. On other side, let's say that, for instance, company like ITC, we are aware that they are manufacturing cigarettes. Their full name is Indian Tobacco Company. So if they produce they produce cigarettes, and other that manufacture and sells liquor are to be closed. So will it not throw thousands of its employee out of their job? What then happen to their families as well? So this is also another side to look. If these companies are not doing a business, if they are not manufacturing, then many of the people who are working as a part of this company will definitely lose their job, and their family members are dependent on them. So the whole, lots of families are also going to suffer from this. So on the other hand, there are others who argue that allowing business people to produce these harmful products increase the social cost through higher health and insurance cost as well. So if, though it is already allowed, but if it will remain continued, then we are aware that it can create so much trouble for the society. Many times we have seen that the news headlines are like one of the alcohol drinker met with the accident, and he also killed so many other people as well. So we are aware that this harmful products are creating trouble not for only for the customer or consumer, but it is also creating trouble for the society. Many times it is also observed that the violation is happening because of the alcohol as well. This alcohol consumption may lead to so much social trouble, and we are aware about that too. Okay, so I hope we discussed a lot on so many aspects, and you are having a great idea regarding all of them now. So here we are ending. Let me, yeah. So guys, in the meanwhile, if you are having any doubt query, you can definitely post there. You are welcome to post your doubt query there in the chat box. And we'll also revise what we did now in this session. So let's do the revision. If you are not having any doubt query, then first we'll do the revision, and afterwards we'll go for the attendance part. So guys, if you are having any doubt query, you can post there in the chat box, and we'll discuss on that. Anyone having doubt or query, please write down there in the chat box. Okay, so let's do the revision now. So in today's discussion, we focused on sources of ethical problem. There are 5 different sources, which was provided by Kenneth Davis and William Patrick. They provided 5 different sources of ethical problem. The first one was failure of personal character, where we discuss in detail with the help of example of Satyam Komta. Then the second source was conflict of personal values and organizational goal. There we took the example of Bayer AG and George Cuto. After that, we discussed regarding personal belief and organizational practices. If the personal belief and organizational practices are not matching, then it can lead to lots of trouble, like we discussed regarding Infosys. Infosys did out of court settlement with an employee just to protect their own reputation. His employee was accusing the company for the sexual harassment. Afterwards, we discussed regarding the organizational goals versus social values. So there we again discussed, we again took the help of Johnson Johnson and Tylenol crisis. And second discussion was happened on Merck Pharmaceutical Company and river blindness. After that, the last one was hazardous but popular product. Uh, we have seen that there is no definite side to choose about those things. Okay, so and this is the recap of what we did previously. Now let's go for the attendance part. In the meanwhile, still, guys, the discussion forum is open for everyone. If you want to write down, if you want to ask me anything, you can definitely post your query there in the chat box. So now let me post the Google form link there for all of you. Okay, so guys, I just posted the Google form link there in the chat box. This is for your attendance. You are aware about that. So you are requested to go on this Google form link and kindly mark the attendance. So quickly finish this attendance part. I will deactivate the link in few minutes. Those who completed the attendance part, they are free from my side. You can definitely leave this meeting and you can go for your next activity. Okay, so Dhanraj, Harsh, Jai, and Nasir. I hope you have marked the attendance. If not, please do that right now.